Welcome to the Phoenix Prosperity Podcast, where wealth meets legacy. Join your host, Tim Fergestad, as we explore the journeys of Phoenix's finest to success and beyond.
Hello, this is Tim Fergestad. Thank you for joining us. I'm very pleased to have Jeff Nicholson with me here today. Jeff is the Vice President at JS Held. Welcome to the show, Jeff.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
All right. Why don't you give our listeners and viewers an idea of all the things that JS Held does currently, and then we'll maybe fill in the gaps of how all that happened.
Okay. So we offer, we're a multifaceted consulting firm. I work in the building consulting division. We've got forensic architecture and engineering, forensic accounting, toxicology, accident reconstruction, environmental health and safety, and there's probably some others that I'm forgetting here, but the company is merging with other companies, bringing them into JS Held, and that's how we've got into all these different disciplines.
Okay, and it's how big now, and where are they located?
We're about 3,000 people, and we're worldwide. Our company headquarters is in Jericho, New York, and everybody works wherever they work. I actually work from home now. Used to be in an office, but COVID changed all that, of course.
Okay. For the better or worse, both?
I think it's better. I like it. Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. So, maybe give our listeners an idea of the types of clients that people would reach out to one of these consulting branches for.
So typically, a lot of my work is with insurance companies. I also work with attorneys in litigation. And most of our work is insurance-based. We got contracts with insurance companies.
Okay.
Now, some of these other disciplines may go outside of that. I'm not sure about that. You know, when you talk about toxicology and the accident reconstruction and things like that. And I know that there's a lot of work that's done with attorneys across the country, probably the world.
Okay. So, for example, I do real estate investing. We buy apartment communities and so forth. One of ours in the Nashville area had one of the buildings burned down. Right. I'm pretty sure it was at the time there was a homeless encampment not too far away that seemed to start fires regularly. Thankfully, nobody was hurt. And so when they have different appraisers and other investigations, is that maybe something that the insurance company would outsource to a firm like yourself?
Yes. So I would get called in, let's say, for the fire, to go not investigate the fire for cause, but to go out and evaluate the loss, measure it, and then from there, I may write an estimate. I may be asked to review an estimate from a contractor. Sometimes it'll be invoice analysis once something's complete. And on water losses, the invoice analysis is a very huge part. And we've got people that specialize or spread out all across the country that do these analysis for us. And then I finalize that, or any other guy in my position, and would send that out to the insurance carrier with our recommendations for payment.
Okay. And I assume there's different bids, different sources of information. You run your own studies. You also have your own teams that you do studies with. And do you give, like, the insurance company? Are you one of the people that give the insurance company a report, and then do they look at multiple reports, or do they have a relationship with you guys and just know that whatever you say is going to be good enough?
I am looked at as their building expert. Okay. So when an attorney engages me and retains me, I'm their building expert for whatever we're working on. They take my report, and sometimes the case just goes away, never hear about it again. And then sometimes we re-engage, sometimes I'm deposed. I've testified in court once. So with the insurance companies, oftentimes we'll put stuff together, send it to them. They may ask for revisions based on coverage. I don't deal with coverage as a building consultant. That would be on the adjuster level. And so we're brought in for those purposes Sometimes it's an independent local adjuster, and then sometimes it's the carrier that goes to an independent local adjuster or one of their own adjusters who comes
Okay.
in and retains us.
Okay. Okay. And how did you get into the business consulting domain?
So building consulting.
Sorry, building
So
consulting.
in August of 2010, I was laid off. I was in project management doing
Okay.
commercial projects. And, I was a very bad time, of course.
Yep.
Excuse me. So I put my resume on Monster. I was working some part-time jobs. I did some auctioneering and ringman work. And I got a phone call from J.S. Held, a guy from California, called me, set up an interview date. He hired me on the spot. So it was a Thursday. I started the following Monday.
Wow. Okay. And that sort of speed is why JS Held has grown so well, I imagine.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about what that was like, being in earlier in the company to one that's grown as much as it has.
Well, I've been in several companies that grow, right? Everybody wants to grow. And it seems like once a company hits 100 people, there's a
Mhm.
vast change. And I can't explain really what that change is, but there seems to be more politics, more things that go on within the company. And then there's forever changes. The more and more people that come on, the more and more changes that occur. That's the biggest thing I notice.
And are they usually good changes?
Well, for the company, yes. Sometimes for the employees, it can be a bit frustrating because,
Okay.
changing systems, having to learn a new system, things like that. It can kind of slow you down a little bit, but you work through it, you learn the system, and you move on.
Okay. So you're here in Arizona. You said they're headquartered out east. Your phone call was originally from California. What's the Arizona presence?
So we have three people here.
Okay.
Myself as a building consultant, got another guy that's a building consultant, specializes in roofing, and then one gal that works in the analysis department.
Okay.
And
Is
we're
the
all
roof
we're all working from home.
okay? Okay. Pre-COVID, you had a brick and mortar shared office.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Now, the other thing I
Is
wanted to tell you is
yeah.
I work in appraisal for insurance companies as well.
Okay.
So, for anybody that doesn't know what appraisal is, if you get, let's say, an estimate from a contractor, and then let's say the insurance company uses my estimate and says, "Hey, this is what we're going to pay," and they don't agree with that, they can file or claim appraisal, and then I am oftentimes called from either attorneys or insurance companies to act as their appraiser. So
Okay.
when an insurance claim goes to appraisal, the opposing side hires their appraiser, and then he and I or she and I try to work together to come to terms and get a settlement. If we can't get a settlement, then we hire an umpire, and I do umpire work as well. So that umpire is a independent third party that will look at both sides, sometimes write up their own estimate, and they will make the final decision. Once that decision is made, that stands.
Okay. Okay. That how often does that happen?
More than you think. It's
Okay,
it
like
quite a bit.
30% of the time, maybe?
I would say 20% of my work is appraisal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I take it you like it?
Yeah, it gets very interesting. And to see things that come in from other people, like sometimes people will hire a public adjuster, and
Okay.
the public adjuster gets paid on a percentage. So he's there
Oh.
to inflate the claim as big as he can get it to
Huh.
so he gets more money. And I've got one in Albuquerque, New Mexico right now that's just insane. The things that these public adjusters come up with to try to inflate the claim is just like it's so outside of anything that's normal, and we've got to
Right.
try to draw that back down and get it to some normalcy to try to resolve the claim.
Okay. It is these are strange times. I imagine there's all sorts of weird cost fluctuations in this space. Um, and tariffs just hitting, that's going to probably muck up your business quite a bit, I imagine.
Right. And amazingly enough, like during a recession, we get a lot of work from fires and copper theft.
Hmm.
It's amazing what people will do to get copper. They get on the roof, tear up a AC unit to get the copper. They'll break in the building. They'll cut out copper wire, pull it out of the conduits to go sell it. It
Wow.
happens a lot.
Wow. Uh, and is that scale enough for your services?
Yes, that's something I would work in. Now, at times, getting involved with deep electrical, and I started out in the construction industry as an electrician, so I
Okay.
understand everything. But getting everything priced is sometimes a little difficult. And we've got people that will specialize in that in other areas of the country. And I'll sometimes bring them in, or sometimes have to bring in an engineer. We have electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, structural engineers that we bring it to get involved as needed.
Okay. Okay. But in terms of the amount of the claim, is there sort of a minimum that you generally is required?
Used to, when I first started, it seemed like the threshold was $250,000.
Okay.
Now I'll sometimes get something down in the uh, 30, $50,000 range.
Okay.
And it's amazing what the insurance company will pay for my services just to set the pace for the future.
For the industry in general, they don't
Yes,
want to set a precedent for
right.
sure. Um, on that example, what somebody goes up and mangles a roof and an AC unit, I don't imagine that's over $20,000. It could
Uh,
be, I suppose, if they've damaged the roof and
yeah, well, you take a 5 ton AC unit, which used to be $7,000. Today, they're in the range of 12 to 15.
okay.
So things are getting expensive fast. And then depending on the roof system, the roofs can get very expensive as well.
Okay. Speaking of roofs, you said you had a partner here in Arizona. Does he have to travel a lot for that work?
He only travels to like New Mexico. Um,
Okay. So
I think
regional.
he's I think he's been up in Utah. Travels all around the state, but he gets a lot of work here, and a lot of his work is an appraisal.
Okay. Okay. I was thinking more of like hurricane states and stuff. There's probably somebody else there locally.
Yeah, there's people there locally, but we do have people that go out on what we call CATs, catastrophe losses. And
Okay.
it's funny, every time that there is like a hurricane, this last time I got asked if I would go. Well, my daughter was having a surgery, so I said, no, I can't go on that one. California, we thought we were going to get a ton of work out of the California fires, and we've gotten some. And I thought for sure I'd be out there for weeks at a time, and I never got called to go. So it's really amazing. And the thing in California, as you may or may not know, there's a lot of people out there that don't have insurance because the
Right.
state of California went and changed something in the insurance industry.
Yep.
And I think State Farm, to name one, kind of walked away from the state
Mhm.
as a
Yep.
whole. I think I've been told that. So, and there's others that won't insure in California.
Right.
So, and then the other thing we work a lot in is water. So there, let's say a toilet leaks and
Hmm.
floods a house, gets sat for days with running water,
Yeah.
or a pipe break anywhere in any commercial building, in the house, whatever. We get a lot of that work as well.
Okay. Yeah. Those damages clearly add up quite a bit. But
Yes.
just pulling copper wires out of a new build framed house, not necessarily a claim that would get up to your level.
It depends on the size of the home, of course, but the biggest thing on the electrical is in the commercial end, where they can
Okay.
actually go get the wire, open up a panel, cut the wires, pull them out of a conduit. Believe it or not, in Tempe, there was a data center that had moved out of a building. They had two huge Caterpillar generators, and somebody really knew what they were doing because they opened up the panels to the generator. They cut the conductors, which are 3 to 5 times the size of my thumb, and pulled these out of the conduits and took them away.
Where do they take those for value?
That I don't know.
Do
I
they
was on a
smelt them into ingots and sell them on some market
Well, I'm
somewhere?
thinking
I don't
they're probably
understand.
stripping down the copper and then selling the copper at a salvage.
Oh, so salvage shops
Yeah,
buy the copper? Huh.
yeah.
Wild. Okay. Okay. Uh okay, interesting, interesting. So I don't know if you want to talk about your specialty or JS Held in general, but what are sort of um the specialties or something that sets you apart from competitors?
Work product is a big one. And one of our core values is we deliver the news. Sometimes that news is good for the carrier, and sometimes after an inspection and evaluation and maybe even an estimate, got to go to the carrier and say, "Hey, I'm sorry, this is what it is." They're right. So it
Okay.
is what it is.
Okay. So like the old idea of news.
Right, right.
The facts. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so we find the facts and deliver the facts.
Right. Okay. Excellent. Um, and you're saying like other people in the industry are a little more flexible in their valuations?
I wouldn't know how to answer that because I
All
really,
right.
don't do their work. So,
Okay. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. So, what's one of the biggest challenges you've had to overcome in your career?
well, the layoff was a big deal. Um, and then just learning. When I came into this industry, I didn't have a lot of fire. The only fire experience I had was living through a house fire myself,
Oh boy.
but I didn't have any fire uh, remediation training or water remediation training.
Okay.
So I got that training while I was here. So I'm now certified fire smoke fire smoke restoration technician. I'm certified water restoration technician and certified stone masonry and tile technician.
Wow. And an electrician and an appraiser
Yeah.
and
Yes,
you wear a lot of hats, Jeff.
I do. I do.
All right. Which are
I'm
your
a drone
favorite
pilot
hats?
for the company as well.
You're a what?
A drone pilot.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. What's your favorite hat?
Um, I probably flying the drone, of course,
Is
but
that one of the newer hats? Is it more
yeah,
novel?
yeah. I,
Yeah.
I just got that certification a year and a half ago, year ago, no,
Okay.
year ago, a year ago May. So I like doing that. There's not a lot of drone work that I get. I've got a project now where I go out once a month and I walk the project. It's a builder's risk claim, and I status the all the buildings that are being built, and then do a drone flight to get the status and put these in reports, and that goes to the
Okay.
insurance carriers so they can see the progress as it moves on.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but other
And
than that, the thing I like most is being able to get out and move around, not stuck at a desk all day.
okay.
So when I get the calls and go out, I get to go out and get dirty sometimes. Sometimes I don't. But I get to see a lot of different things. I've been in places that you can't imagine. Uh, Water bottling plants, prisons, um, lot, aero manufacturing facilities. I've just been in so many different things and seen so many
Okay.
things that a lot of people will never see in their lifetime.
Right. Right. That's cool. That's cool. And I imagine you started in the industry and electrician and project management kind of for that reason. And then you sort of fell into a desk job kind of in a sense for a while.
Right. Well,
That's
like I said, sometimes I'm at the desk and it can be for hours, it can be for days. But when I get that call to go out, I get to go out, get some
right.
exercise. I I work Arizona and New Mexico, and then I've been to Nebraska, South Dakota, been all over the country as needed.
Okay. Excellent. Um, okay. Goals. Goals for the company, goals for you personally for 25?
Uh, Goals for the company is, I believe, the continued growth. Um, and profits, of course. And then for me, I'm 60 years old, and I'm looking at a few years down the road here.
Sure.
It's going to come that time to retire. So my biggest goal is to be prepared for that. And then a daily goal is just to keep the work coming in. Right now I'm slow, um, but um, I'm waiting for those calls. And right now, for some reason, especially in the Phoenix area, there's not a lot of claims going on right now, which is kind of strange.
Huh. Well, that's one of the reasons why I like the Phoenix market.
Right, right. And other than monsoons, we don't get tornadoes, well, very
Right,
often.
right, right,
um, we don't have a lot of dramatic weather that
right,
creates a lot of claims.
right, right. But but even that said, it's lower than normal.
Yes.
Huh.
And I think the whole industry is that way right now here in Phoenix.
Okay. Is insurance industry has been because you're insurance driven, you said is been in turmoil, right? Rates have been up and down and mostly up in different markets.
Mostly up. Yes.
Um, we had some in Texas go up threefold, and then they went down to 50%, and then we went up again. So
Right.
it's interesting. And then Florida is its own nightmare
Oh, I'm sure.
people. A lot of providers just left, right? It's interesting how that happens, but
Right.
I don't imagine that affects you. Different industries are working in different markets, but I mean, different insurance companies are working in different markets, but they still all more or less reach out to people like you when they
Yes.
need it. Okay.
Yeah.
You don't have any specific um, clients that you're preferred clients or something that you have. I'm sure you do have some sort of relationships.
Yes, I've got a lot of relationships with local independent adjusters, and then there's a lot of carriers that when they need me, they'll contact me, or they'll
Right.
tell an independent adjuster to retain me specifically.
Right.
Um, Within the company and the building side, I've got a lot of experience that a lot of other people don't have because of my building experience over 25 years.
Right.
So I've built just about everything as a project manager. So I bring a lot of expertise to the building side.
Okay. Okay. Before we get back into sort of planning for the future, I'm interested in working with different adjusters, right?
Yes.
That say the claimant might retain for their own purposes. Are you involved in that aspect? You said sometimes you will both sit down and work it out, and if you can't, then it goes to an umpire. Is that
Yeah. So
process?
that's the appraisal process.
Right.
That's if an insured and the carrier can't come to terms,
Okay.
either one has the right to file for appraisal and claim appraisal. And at that point, um, I get called, my partner gets called for the roofs. I've done roofs as well. Um, and they bring us in as their appraiser to try to come to terms with the opposing side. And then if that opposing side and myself can't come together, then that's when we get to the umpire.
Okay. I guess I'm wondering in the residential space, just single private homeowners versus the commercial space, how often that occurs in each of those situations?
You know, it's really hard to put a number on it. And when I say I had 20, I told you I have 20, about 20% of my business is appraisal.
Okay.
Um, I guess I could say in the residential side, maybe 10, 15% go to appraisal.
Okay.
Yeah.
So most of them not.
Yeah,
But in the
usually it
commercial
gets worked
side,
out
I imagine they're a little more savvy and they hire out their own appraisers that you have to work with.
on the commercial side.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I work on the commercial side as well. Usually on the commercial side, I'm working with the contractor that's been hired by the insured, and
Oh, okay.
we try to work together on the estimate and scope and the
Okay. So
values.
sometimes with the carrier, sometimes with the insured.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, no, I don't work for insureds. We have too many contracts with insurance companies. So I only work for the insurance carriers.
Oh, okay.
So, but with that, let's say I'm on a big commercial loss and there's a contractor on site, I'll work with that contractor to try to come to terms to where we don't get to any opposing positions ever. Work together. Sometimes we'll estimate together or whatever the case may be, and then we come to terms that way.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I could dive into the details, all that stuff, but I'm not sure how interesting that would be to our listeners. Dive into the weeds there. But so circling back to retirement, right? Look towards the future.
Yes.
Um, uh, can you talk about maybe some of the best and worst investments you've made and how maybe you're creating maybe passive income to enhance or maybe replace your active income?
You know, it seems like some of the worst things I've done is some stocks. I've
Okay.
I've got an advisor at Edward Jones, and
Okay.
actually, she used to be one of my clients. She was an adjuster,
Okay.
and she changed paths. So she advises me on what's good to do, what's not to do, when to sell, when to buy. But for the most part, I'm sticking my money in bonds and mutual funds, and then the savings accounts they have.
Okay. Okay. Pretty that makes sense, right? Maybe based off of where you're at, if you want, how much risk you want to take or not take.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah, the older you get, the less risk you want to take, right?
right, right. And that's why, I mean, real estate is generally considered a pretty good risk-adjusted return, right? It's a hard asset. You can insure it,
Right.
things like that, unlike the stock market, right? I mean, there's kind of things you can do there, but for the most part, that's one of our things. Is our lending fund, which is pretty popular in that sense because it's like a super high yield savings account is what I liken it to. It's liquid though, which is nice. Most of our real estate investments, some make cash flow, which might be nice for what people may be looking for, but usually real estate investments require your money be committed for years,
Right.
right? But that liquidity has a premium, right? And in the market, right, it can be very volatile. And so that's what's great about our lending fund is you can get 8, 9, 10% return without the volatility and without any lockup period and stuff. So a lot of people like that. Some people even invest with their retirement funds, right? And
Right.
let it sit there and compound, or you can get cash flow from it too. So it's um, a nice option. It's backed by real estate, and so it's another great option out there for people in that space. They're in that time of or if that's one of their goals anyway.
Right.
Okay. Um, so I was going to ask if you had any sort of plans or initiatives in 2025.
Not really. Getting my daughter back to being healthy is the
Oh,
biggest thing.
for sure.
Um, and just keep working. No big plans.
Okay. Okay. Just as you said before, in the workspace, just trying to grow the client list.
Yes.
And are you actively involved in that aspect? Or is it through your networking you drum up work, or is it more marketing or some other sources find you the work?
Well, we've got a business development department, of course, and they do account-based marketing. But a lot of my work is return. It comes from guys that
Okay,
I've worked for, trust me, know my work product, and they
right,
want me back. So that's a lot of my work. Now, one thing in this market, the insurance industry is a very small, tight-knit market. Everybody kind of knows everybody, and there seems to be a lot of turnover in the insurance industries, and people go at different places. But as it relates to like the independent adjusting firms that I'll work with locally or even abroad or not abroad, but around the country, um, most of that is return work, and there seems to be very little turnover in those companies, and they stay pretty stable. So once those
okay,
people find the place they like and the place they want to stay, they just keep coming back to me as they need my services.
right. Okay, great, great. It's always great when you're in an industry when your performance can dictate your future.
Right, right.
Okay. I have a reflection question I like to ask guests. It's on your journey, what do you wish you knew sooner about building wealth and wealth and success in your career?
When I was much younger and putting money on credit cards,
Oh, yeah.
I'll tell you, I taught my kids when they first started getting credit cards, do not carry any amount on that card. Make sure you don't spend more than you can pay off every month. And I
Okay.
can look back at all the money I spent on interest on credit cards
Right.
and could just kick myself.
Okay. Yes, that's a good one. Thanks for sharing that. It's always a good reminder. I have kids who they don't have their own credit cards yet, but I had one just turn 18, so it's coming.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, that interest is incredibly powerful and can really help you and really hurt you.
Yes. And it's amazing to me the amount of interest that credit card companies are able to charge.
Oh, yeah,
It's
26
incredible.
plus. Yes. Those are the returns we try to get our investors.
Right.
But having to pay it, oh, it's brutal. All right. Well, Jeff, thank you very much for joining us. If people would like to connect with you or learn more, what can they do?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn through JS Held. And then our website is www.jsheld.com. And I think that's right. I never look up our website. Yeah, we can be found online.
Okay.
And then on our website, there is a directory that you could find me on there. And I'm on there. So
Okay, great.
email, phone call, however you'd like to do it.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for listening and watching. Thank you very much, Jeff Nicholson, for joining me today. We appreciate you sharing your story and insights into
Thank you for having
success and
me.
impact. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Inspired by our guests? Visit phoenixprosperitypodcast.com/guest and join us on the show and share your success story with Tim. The spotlight awaits.